Jake here with a new video after taking a bit of a break, but I wanted to come back and feature what I think is a very, very fun tank, and that is the freebie that Wargaming gave us with the VK 28.01 with the 105 howitzer. Of course, this was in the game as a standard vehicle. It was just literally the tier 6 German light tank with the howitzer as one of the weapon choices. Now they brought it back. I actually like that they did this. I know a lot of people didn't, that they removed the howitzer from the tech tree tank, but it is what it is, and it ended up giving us a very fun premium tank for free. And to me, I see that kind of as a win-win. But here I am on the Studzianki map, and I immediately take a spotting position. And yes, I did take a very low percentage chance shot. I don't care about my hit rate. I never have. And maybe landing a early hit or two just gives you free damage. Plus also knocking down the walls where the heavies go, that is actually a pretty key thing that you should try to do, as long as you're not endangering yourself. Now, as you see in chat, I actually tell our Udez that I'm bailing and I try to get him to fall back. The reason being is the current state is that him and I are up here, and the only thing that could actually directly support us is artillery. There's nobody in an actual direct fire position. So counting on artillery is not a good tactic. Artillery can be helpful, but in a direct sense, they have a low percentage chance of hitting any of their shots even when fully aimed. So if you're counting on that as your only support, you're not planning for success there. He needs to get out of there. Now I'm moving back to a very common spotting position. Now if you are on the hill on Studzianki and you're getting spotted continuously, blind fire this position and its basic copy over there at B3 on the other side of the map. These are very, very typical spots for stealthy mediums or light tanks to position in, and I'll even do this in tank destroyers, like say my Jagdpanzer IV. It has to be a fairly stealthy vehicle, but from here, the moment anybody breaks cover or fires improperly, not using the concealment of the bushes to good effect, you will spot them. Now something like this VK 100 is shocking to see him go up there, but he will basically be perma-spotted once he actually crests to the top of the hill because of how low his concealment is. And there is the T-3045 not using concealment properly. See, he's firing, but he's firing through the bush, not from behind it. So of course I'm able to spot him. And this game is basic light tank gameplay. I'm not going to deal a lot of damage, and yes, you will see me fire heat, because the targets I will be firing at require it. Now, I'm not going to even bother trying to fire at the VK100. I can't penetrate him with any of my shots. My HE will typically do 0 damage to him. The AP has no chance of penning, and the heat, I would only be able to penetrate him if I actually get right behind him and fire into one specific spot at his engine. Now, kudos to the T25/2. That was a good guess. Now, he should have continued to fire because he tracked me there. I repaired just in case that he followed it up and I needed to bail. Now, it was a bad shot by me. I did not lead it, and the low velocity of the howitzer does cause you to have very poor accuracy at times, and yes, the heat is required in this position. If I landed the first shot, I could have possibly got away with HE both shots, but counting on that, especially after the HE rework, counting on HE for critical damage is not a good idea anymore. I do carry the 8 rounds of AP, And it has 64 millimeters of pen, and it is very, very useful against certain tanks. The Cromwell comes to mind. The AP actually does a very, very good amount of work against them. And things like the rear ends of heavies or tank destroyers. But here's a situation where it was so tempting to fire. And if I fire, I'm most likely dead. And if I die, this flank's most likely lost. Because the Scorpion has been providing very good support, but he's relying entirely on me to spot. So if I die, he doesn't have a spotter. And then that would free up the T-25/2 and the VK to maybe, instead of the VK moving south, the VK could, if I'm not spotting him anymore, he could decide to, wait a minute now, I can push. And if that VK pushes, the Scorpion has been dealing some damage to him, and I know he's firing heat, but the VK could push, and he could successfully lead a push here. So the Scorpion's, again, relying on me to deal damage to the T-30, and the T-30-45 finished the SU-100, but the Scorpion had been relying on me to do that. And I actually make a move here in a little bit that breaks this flank open. See, already I have a pretty good game. I've got 2100 spotting, and I've only dealt one shot of damage, but this is the primary role of a light tank. Arudez is asking if he should push hill, and no, in this case, yes, I am bottom tier, but I have twice the hit points. And there's the key point. I have enough hit points to eat one shot from the T-25/2 and get him forced backwards. If the Udez had made that push, he's one-shottable right now. He would have been killed by that shot. So I took the hit for him, knowing that I would take the hit. But that's part of being willing to use your hit points to your advantage. I don't have any armor to speak of, but I had the hit points. And I wouldn't count on the Scorpion to push. If he pushed, he'd get spotted. And because he has 0 armor, and he's not that fast, he would get spotted, and then hit by the T-25/2, and that artillery shot probably would have hit the Scorpion, and because it has basically 1mm armor, he probably could have been killed. And when you see the results screen, you're going to see the Scorpion has been doing a lot to support me. Unfortunately, with as low a health as he had, the Udez time was limited in this game if he got spotted. And that would have happened much, much earlier had he been the one to push hill. Now, I'm just doing loops here, trying to keep the VK spotted, because the Scorpion on the hill, if you see, he is actually using concealment properly, which means he will lose eyesight on the VK unless he rolls back forward. So I want to keep these heavy spotted, and I also do want the artillery to be looking more towards me rather than the Scorpion. If the Scorpion gets spotted and hit by the KV-2 or the artillery, he's going to be dead. But now this flank has finally been secured, in my opinion. Yes, the KV-2 is there, but he is pinned. And I'm actually just going to get in a good position here. And I sit here for a bit, because typically when people are spotted and they know where this fire is coming from, they will just back up. And I fully expect the KV-2, given the chance, he's probably going to reverse. Now, spoiler alert, he doesn't. But I sit here thinking, okay, he's rocking back and forth. Most people will eventually reverse, because they don't pay attention to their surroundings. They just know that he knows the Scorpion's over there, and he knows artillery could possibly hit him. So I assumed he would reverse. He didn't. So instead of wasting any more time, because I'm looking at the clock, we went under 6 minutes, I can get shots on him if I'm willing to move. And our teammates are also getting shots on him. But if the KV-2 goes down, it's open season on the artillery, and then just hunting down the Udez tank destroyer. So now I can come over here to the middle, and if I'm careful, I'll be able to get a free shot into the KV2. And that's all I'm trying to do is line up. And that's basically what you have to do with at range with this howitzer. You have, especially if something has armor, you do have to use some heat, and you really need to be stationary and firing at a stationary target. Any hits on the move or at a moving target, they're pretty much luck of the draw. And unfortunately, this tank does end up using some heat to be truly effective. I mean, you can have great games without the heat, and in one of my next games that I'll put a video of, I don't use hardly any heat. But this game, I have shot a few rounds. But here finally I get to make some use of good old HE. And that is what makes this tank so fun. Being able to have something mobile and have enough punch to one-shot things like an M44. And look how good the camouflage value is on that Udez. I was on top of him. Now here is the tip. Watch what I do here. You can spot through a destroyed vehicle. That is a game mechanic. You actually can look right through it. They can't fire through. So the Udez is just sitting there staring at me. But you can spot through a destroyed tank, whether it's allied or enemy. But it did give me an ace, based mostly on the 4,000 spotting, and I did also sneak in 1,261 of my own damage, but mostly based off of the spotting. I had to throw in a little bit of my own damage, but to sort by damage, you'll see that the Scorpion was the MVP on the damage dealing side, whereas I earned the most experience. And it just goes to show that even though I was bottom tier in this game, it didn't matter. Spotting wins games. Camouflage and concealment are good quality skills to learn, and this game showed it. But I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one, as I will be back to regular videos.